Good afternoon, everyone. Please rise as we open our meeting today. Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Cade Museum. My name is Tom Collette, your Sergeant at Arms again. Why? Because I'm a glutton for punishment. Just kidding, because Greg Young asked me to serve in this role. Welcome to each and every one of you here on this day after Independence Day. If you're joining us on Zoom or YouTube after the fact, please register your participation in the meeting today at info@rotarygainesville.org. We begin today, as we always do, with the song and the Pledge of Allegiance from the one and only, you ready? Pete and Wall.
It's very difficult to follow a trained professional like Tom, but I'll give it a shot. A friend of mine disclosed to me that he suffered from kleptomania. And I told him, I thought he could take something for that. We're going to sing America the Beautiful today. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing now for our invocation offered today by Ian Fletcher.
As we get ready to kick off another Rotary year, we celebrated another year of our country, but there are some people in our community, some seniors that has to depend on Meals and Wheels. Just remember them in your thoughts and your caring as you go about your everyday. Let us pray. Holy Father, prepare us for the journey ahead as we embark on a new Rotary year. Let your blessing be with President Young as he leads us. Strengthen him and his board with the requests they will be asked to fulfill and the decisions they will have to make concerning the club to guide us through the unforeseen. Lead us with the events we have slated for this year, with every speaker we will hear from this year and comes to educate and inform us, beginning with our past district governor, Marshall Butler. Our country and community need us to be responsive to the needs and to be a beacon of light as we live out the principles of service above self. As we implement our theme for this year, Imagine Rotary, help us to dream and fulfill the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Grant us a phenomenal year. Thank you yet for another day. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ian. Remain standing if you are a guest of the club or if you're a visiting Rotarian. Jason Shank has the wireless microphone. Please introduce your guest.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. I have Jody Farmer with me today. She's our Senior Director of Marketing at the Cade Museum.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. I have Rich McGraw with me today. Rich moved here recently from Tuscaloosa, where he was a professor of U.S. history and historian there. He's also an author, and he is engaged to a lady who is a very good judge of character when it comes to husbands. That is my sister-in-law, Kirsten. Rich McGraw.
Rotarians, I'm proud to introduce Bill Baxter for two reasons. Number one, he's a seasoned mental health counselor. Number two, he's my close over the fence neighbor.
Hi, Mary Kate Walker. This is Mary Beth. I can't say her name. If y'all know me, you know I can't pronounce anybody's names. Mary Beth. Mary Beth is good. She is new to Gainesville from Virginia and hopefully will be a Rotarian soon. That'd be so cool. Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome all to our meeting today. It is our first meeting here in the month of July, so we recognize those of our Rotarian faithful here, and maybe not here today, but have their birthdays in the month of July. If you are present today, please bring your dollar over to Greg Young for your birthday contribution. He has the basket. These are our birthdays in the month of July for our Rotary Club of Gainesville. Chad King, Cynthia Miller, Becky Farber, Paul Ferrero, Bobby Hall, Sheed Tarnu. Celebrating today, Margaret Combs and Tim Williams. One person cheers. That was nice. Jay Nordquist, Jason Kaysen, Tim Sorrell, Kip Harrison, Nisha Chopra, Deborah Newell, Matthew Brady, Joseph Orr, Denise Ferrero, Reed Brown, John Graham, Bob Watson, Dan Boyd, Ernie Higbee, Sandy Evans, and David Gracie. In just a moment, we'll have Pete come up and sing happy birthday. We'll all be expected to join in and sing happy birthday to our fellow Rotarians, but we will have cake next week. I got stuck in High Springs, and we will have a chocolate cake next week. Because as my dad says, if it's not chocolate, it's not dessert. So here to sing happy birthday once again, Pete Enwall.
Okay, we got to do this with gusto. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, fellow Rotarians. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, that.
Happy birthday, Rotarians. And now, without further ado, we should have had Hail to the Chief for this moment, but we bring up our president for this Rotary year. Please welcome to the podium for the first time, Greg Young.
You are the best. So, well, welcome everyone. I'm want to welcome everyone that's in the room and also attending via Zoom. Next week, we should be able to bring up the Zoom screen to share with everyone, people in the gallery prior to the meeting. So we want to make sure they feel that they are part of our group, which they are. And some of them on the birthday list were probably on Zoom as well. So as our new year begins, I've given it a lot of thought. I'm excited, I'm nervous, I'm honored, and I'm humbled to be serving the club in this capacity. Incoming presidents had the pleasure of meeting the new Rotary International president, Jennifer Jones. We met her recently at the President's-elect training in Orlando. This is the banner for the year. Not as big as last year's, David, sorry. Couldn't keep up with that. But anyway, Jennifer Jones is the president this year. And I won't reiterate this too much, but I just want people that might be new members of the club to be aware, she is our first RI president that is female. So I feel very honored and special that it happened this year. So I hope Rotary continues in its quest for diversity and inclusion, which it has. That's a major area of focus for this organization. So I am confident Jennifer's going to do an outstanding job this year leading us in our Rotary projects around the world. And if you haven't already seen the article in the Rotary magazine, please do look at that and you will be impressed, I'm sure. So I've been giving a lot of thought to not dropping things. And one of the things that I've come up with is that I feel like it's important in my role to facilitate you, everyone in the group and on Zoom, in finding what is your role in Rotary. What is it that you want to get out of Rotary? And how do you feel like you can serve, or whatever capacity you feel like Rotary and you can work together? In that, I won't elaborate too much on this point. It's because I believe Marshall will be covering some of those topics in his talk, and the talk titled Why Rotary? So, and Rotary can provide many opportunities, so I'm sure you'll hear some of that through Marshall's talk. I also want to thank everyone that answered the survey that went out to the club that was sent down from the district level. It was very useful for me to see the information. We came up with a lot of good marks related to the district. And so I'm very happy about that. But we also see areas where we want to work. And that's just part of any organization, always trying to strive to become better. And let's see on that. And we'll have more information about that. I will give you some details, over time about what the survey results said. Okay, so with that, I think I want to go ahead and introduce our speaker today, Marshall Butler. He is a current member and past president of the Rotary Club of West Jacks. You probably saw some of this information in his bio that was sent out. Marshall served as the district governor of our district, which is 6970, which encompasses most of Northeast Florida. And near the end of his term, 2017, over 500 Rotarians, I didn't know it was that many, Marshall, that was amazing. Rotarians traveled from Gainesville and areas of Northeast Florida to Atlanta for our district conference. And that was in conjunction with 2 days later, the Rotary International Convention. And I understand that that's not usually allowed, Marshall, but somehow you must know people. Ask for forgiveness, that's the clue. Okay. And it was a truly wonderful event, I will say, too. I had the best fun. And I will say that Wes is representing, and I'm representing as well. The shirt. Who else? Who else do we have? Marcia, good. Well, I think the reasoning for the bright red was so that we could find each other at the convention. So we kind of stayed together. All right. Let's see. I also want to mention something. Naomi Williams is sitting in the back. Where did I see you, Naomi? Right there. Well, Marshall was his most recent accolade that he's been awarded with through a Rotary Club was the Brent Williams Spirit of Rotary Award. And so I want to give Marshall a hand for receiving that award. And for those of you in the club who knew Brent, he was so active in Rotary and he had a strong passion for what Rotary represents. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, I can't forget to mention at the district conference, David, remember there was a cornhole competition, and you might remember this. I think he was the winner, and you might have gotten second, but you was a close second. Oh, it was you, wasn't it? Oh, for the chip. Oh, very good. I stand corrected. That's wonderful. All right. So I think with that, I've about said all I need to say, and I want to let Marshall Butler come up here and tell us about why Rotary.
Whoa, get away. Test 1, 2, 3. There we go. Well, thank you for that introduction, Greg. I really appreciate that. It's a treat to be here today in Gainesville at the, I'm gonna get my phone here so I don't talk like a district governor for 40 minutes. It's a real treat to be here today to meet with you all, to be at the Rotary Club of Gainesville. Special memories with this club. It's pretty cool to be here in the Cade Museum. I think the human body is made of 60% water. I think based on the number of gallons of Gatorade I've drank over the years, I'm probably 60% Gatorade. So it's a real treat to be in this beautiful building. Really impressive, and the setup that Matthew and you guys have put together is really cool. I know Wes has put a lot of this together, so fantastic. And the Brent Williams Award, let me just tell you a little bit about that. I know Ben Campen was the first person to receive that award, and to use the word humbling, that's not enough to describe what it feels like to win that award. I had a very close relationship with Brent during his last years. Many of you may not know this, but Brent was the chair of the nominating committee that selected me to be the governor of 6970. And I'll never forget the phone call that night where I, sitting on the edge of the chair, nervous, wondering, could I possibly, take on this role? And then getting that phone call and hearing that voice, that booming voice, and I can't even do it justice, but Marshall, we have selected you to be the governor of 6970 for the Rotary year of 16 to 17. And just that moment, and knowing that someone like Brent had led the committee to select me. And then even a couple months after that, when Brent was diagnosed with ALS and his body started to deteriorate, Brent was still a Rotarian's Rotarian. Brent was still guiding and mentoring and participating and being a part of everything that he could. I remember him being at the seminar, and I think it was in Orange Park in August when Cindy Covington received an award, to be there for Cindy. Brent was always there. I heard a story from past director John Smarge, where John lived in Naples and his daughter was trying out for the Dazzlers, and he was disappointed that he couldn't be there to watch his daughter try out. Brent Williams was there to be there for his daughter. So while she was trying out, to be a familiar face in the crowd, to support her. And I remember, Naomi, when I was in San Diego at International Assembly and I got news that Brent wasn't doing well, and I sent him a text. I was in a session at International Assembly saying, thank you for this opportunity. And I know you typed the response and said, have the time of your life. And then I know Brent passed the next morning. I can't put into words what it means to get the Brent Williams Award. It meant so much. And I just had to share that with his home club, how much Brent Williams means to the world of Rotary. So why Rotary? Because you get to meet people like Brent Williams. That's why you join Rotary, because you get to be around people that have integrity and they share the four-way test and they want to make a difference in this world. That's why you join Rotary. So, I know I've probably shared the story with many of you before, but my why Rotary story, my Rotary story, and it's everyone has a reason why they want to get involved with Rotary. But, my Rotary story started in 1945. In 1945, my father was 4 years old. And all of a sudden, my father's right arm just went limp. My dad had polio. It was a very scary time in the United States in the 40s. And we all have heard the stories. We know that kids couldn't go play with friends. You couldn't go to the pool. You couldn't go to the beach. And it's much like what we saw the last couple of years. Think about that. But think about that in the 40s and kids not being able to go out. My dad spent the next year of his life in a hospital. And the only time he saw his mom, his dad, and his sister was behind a glass window because he was isolated. Think about that as a 4-year-old, being isolated from your family for a year because they didn't know if you could spread the disease or whatever. And so Dad spent that entire year of his life in the hospital. About 4 or 5 years later, Dad went back to hospital and they were going to try to take a muscle out of his leg to put into his arm so he could have some use of that appendage for the rest of his life. Well, unfortunately, the surgery didn't work. And so my father has spent the last 75 years of his life dragging that arm around, just hanging there lifeless. We know that a couple of years after that failed surgery that my father had, that Dr. Jonas Salk announced on April, I think it was 16th of 1952, that he had identified a vaccine that was safe, it was powerful, it was potent, and it was effective. And after that, and the parallels between polio and what we've seen with this pandemic are so similar. Thousands and millions of children all of a sudden were vaccinated because their kids, their families didn't want them to have this devastating disease. And I know recently my dad said, you know, if there had been a vaccine, when there was all the question about, do you get the COVID vaccine? My father said, if there'd been a polio vaccine, there's no question he would have been the first in line to get that, because of course you get the vaccine to protect yourself from that. And so my father, he kind of was dealt this story lot in life to have this arm just hanging there by the side of his body. But if there's one word that I would use to describe my father, it's perseverance. My father has persevered. My father taught our family that you work hard, you take care of your community, and you take care of your family. Dad owned a dry cleaners there in Jacksonville, Florida. And if there is ever a need in our community, the church, the school, anything, my father was there to support, to help. And Dad ran that cleaners alone for 50 years with the family supporting him. Didn't miss a day of work and just persevered. My father took care of our family. He made sure that we had what we needed. My dad always took care of us. So you can say that I learned a lot about Rotary through my dad, who wasn't a Rotarian at the time. Well, he wasn't a member of a Rotary club. I believe my father has always been a Rotarian. And I believe there are many people out there that are Rotarians. They just don't know it yet, right? We need to find those folks, because people that have a desire to take care of their community, people that have a high set of ethics and integrity, people that want to help others and make a difference around the world, those are the Rotarians. And see, they're just not members of clubs yet. And all of us in this room, we all have that Rotary story. We have that moment that we went from a member of the Rotary Club of Gainesville to a Rotarian. There's something that happened. You know, there was an event that made us want to be a part of this great organization, and then realize that it's more than just being a member of Rotary. We're Rotarians because of the things that we do, the things that we think, and the things that we say. Whether it's here locally, helping children read books, or it's doing missions, clean water projects, literacy projects, whatever. But back to my dad. You know, Dad, it's amazing to think that the polio that devastated and just had such a profound impact on our life. About 40 years after Dad was diagnosed with polio, Rotary said, you know what? We're going to do something about polio. We're going to eradicate that disease from the face of the earth. And so for the last 37 years, Rotary has made an effort to eradicate polio. And, you know, over the last 20 years, we've done this close. I can tell you that we are so close right now. We know that we're in Afghanistan and Pakistan. We are down to 10 cases. And Rotary has actually started engaging their in-game plan because we're so close. What we're seeing right now in Afghanistan and Pakistan is very similar to the kinds of trends that we saw in India right before India was declared polio-free. They're seeing the same sorts of data come out. And now I know the earthquake in Afghanistan has devastated some of the efforts there. When you do something for 37 years and you're so determined, you're going to see it through. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. But we're still pushing forward. And you guys may have seen it recently in the news. There were cases of polio found in London. There have been cases of polio found in other places now. And that reminds us why we need to make sure that we take care of this once and for all and vaccinate all these children, because it's only a plane ride away. It's as easy as someone getting on a plane and taking it to London. It's that scary, but we're going to take care of it. We're going to eradicate it. And I'm so excited about that. And that's another reason, you know, why Rotary, because you can be a part of an organization that is going to eradicate the second disease in the history of mankind. That's amazing just to think about the impact that will have, the children that will be able to walk, the lives that people are going to have because Rotarians said, we're going to eradicate polio. It's overwhelming. So you get to meet fantastic people is one reason why you want to join Rotary. You get to be a part of amazing projects. That's another reason why you want to be in Rotary. But it's so important for us to tell the story. And I think many of you have probably heard the story about the crazy pants, but if you haven't, I'll go ahead and tell it. So it was the year that I was going to be the governor of 6970. And our incoming president that year, president of Rotary International, was going to be John Germ. And John's a good old boy from Chattanooga, Tennessee, dry sense of humor. And so John was coming to Jacksonville, Florida to meet with Shad Khan. Shad's the owner of the Jaguars. He's from Pakistan. So they wanted John to meet with Shad to see if maybe we could get some money for the End Polio Now campaign. And so they said, well, you know, the folks up in Evanston, Illinois said, well, John's coming to Jacksonville. The incoming district governor for that year is going to be in Jacksonville. We ought to get the two of those guys together for dinner. And so I was getting ready to go to dinner that night, and I was getting dressed, and I was putting on my Madras pants, Madras jacket today, but Madras pants. It was kind of my tradition. And my wife said, you cannot wear those pants to go meet the incoming president of Rotary International. She said, you just can't do that. Something conservative. Come on, man. And I said, what could possibly go wrong? Why not? And so we go to the restaurant, and I walk right up to the restaurant, open the door, and there's John Germ just standing there, big as life. And he looks at me head to toe. He goes, huh, so you're going to be the governor of the year I'm president? I said, well, yes, sir, I am. Now, there's one thing about presidents of Rotary International is they select a sport coat for all the governors to wear the year that they're president. So they have a matching sport coat that they all wear. And so I walk in, there's John, you're going to be the president, or governor. Yes, sir. Well, boy, them britches ain't going to match my jacket. And I said, all right, President John, we'll figure something out. We'll see what we can do. And so there are some Rotarians down in DeLand. They own an embroidery shop, and they put together these Rotary pants, put the Rotary logo all over them. And so we're in Sao Paulo, Brazil at the International Convention that year. And I showed them to John. I said, John, these pants are going to match your jacket. It's going to be great. And he goes, we'll see. And then he then said, no, you're right. We should go into worldwide global production of those pants. I think that's a great idea. And so I said, well, we'll see what we can do about that, President John. So we applied to Rotary International Licensing to get the pants made. Well, fast forward a couple more months, and we're in San Diego at the International Assembly, and we're at a polio reception, and there's John Germ, and he's meeting with Mike McGovern, who is the chair of the End Polio Now campaign. And they walk over, and John looks at me, and he says, Marshall, where are my britches at? I said, John, headquarters, they didn't like the idea of putting the Rotary logo all over a pair of pants. And they didn't like they said that the wheel wasn't quite close enough to the word Rotary. It was off by a millimeter. And so they weren't going to approve it. And so John has an aide that would travel around with him. And it was this fellow named Ron Bobian, a past district governor out of the San Diego area. He said, Ron, get over here. Straighten those boys up in Evanston. Let's get this taken care of. So about 2 weeks after that, I get a phone call. Marshall, the pants have been approved. So we got to make the pants. And I think that may be where the beginning of the ask for forgiveness came in. We kind of made pretty liberal use of asking for forgiveness from that point on. But we started producing the pants. And we've sold hundreds of pairs of the pants so far. But you know, it's important that we do wear the pants that we do wear the logo. And what John was saying was the folks in Evanston couldn't see the forest for the trees. I mean, they were looking at, yeah, they're crazy pants, but we're sharing the logo. We're telling the story. We're letting others know about this great organization. And so, you know, we see the logo on the front of a lectern or on the side of a road, on a sign, or maybe it's in a park on a plaque or on the side of a building. Those are all inanimate objects. They can't tell the Rotary story. They can't tell the Rotary story like I can share with you my Rotary story of why I'm in Rotary because of my father with polio. It's up to us to tell these stories. It's up to us to let people know this organization we're passionate about, where we can bring anything that we care about, any cause that we're passionate about. We bring that to Rotary. And Rotary is just that catalyst that allows us to amplify and to make a difference, to take that cause and to join great people. You know, what is it? Join leaders, exchange ideas, and take action. That's what Rotary is. We come together, we have a cause, and we do great things. And that's why, whether it's a pair of pants or it's your lapel pin or it's a shirt, that's your opportunity to tell the Rotary story. I mean, I'll be sitting in line at the grocery store and, hey man, I like your pants, and talk about Rotary. Or I remember I was at a business meeting and I had my Rotary meeting later that day. And this lady looked over at me. She goes, I like your pants. I said, well, thank you. And she goes, no, I really like your pants. I said, well, that's great. She said, I was an ambassadorial scholar for Rotary about 15 years ago. I went down to Nicaragua to help with a literacy project, and I love Rotary. And I said, well, that's fantastic. What club are you in? And she said, well, work-life balance. I have small kids. I haven't been able to join a Rotary club. And so I encouraged her to join our Alumni Association, which allows people that have been connected to Rotary, whether it's through an ambassadorial scholarship program or a youth exchange or Interact or RILA, to stay connected to Rotary through a quarterly newsletter and maybe a service opportunity, because we know those people care about service. And so I encouraged her to join that so that when the time is right, she can be a part of Rotary again, because she knows how great our organization is. And so to summarize and to kind of explain to you what my role is now, now that I've served as governor, I now serve as a Zone 34 Public Image Coordinator. And so what that means is Zone 34 covers Georgia, Florida, and we have 27 countries in the Caribbean representing 5 languages. I forget how many dialects. So it's a pretty big swath. And we even have a couple of countries in South America that we help. And so what we do, I have a team of 5 spread across the zone. And what we do is we help clubs and districts understand how to share the Rotary story, how to use marketing techniques and strategies, communication strategies, so that we can all tell these stories and we can all tell people why Rotary. And we can encourage people to join our clubs and to be a part of our projects and to be a part of our fundraisers. And so we have a monthly webinar series that we put on, and we put together workshops, and we do a lot of consulting with clubs. I think it's, 700 clubs, 17,000 Rotarians that I have responsible for with public image now. And so it's a big task, but it's a rewarding task. So I'm going into my 3rd year. It's a 3-year term. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity to meet people across the zone and share these Rotary stories and talk about why Rotary. So as I close, if there's one thing that I could ask you to do as a call to action, it's to think about your personal Rotary story. What was that moment that you went from a member of a Rotary club to a Rotarian? And how can you use that story to encourage others either to join our organization, or if they don't want to join, why wouldn't you want to give to our foundation? It's a 4-star ranked charity from Charity Navigator that does amazing work. We know that over 95% of every dollar goes back into projects. And so whether you use your Rotary story to grow your membership or to allow us to do more, think about those Rotary stories. And I'll close you with one last story. And it was right after we had just started as governors. We went down to Jamaica, and we had put together a grant to buy a piece of equipment to go into a hospital to help with eye surgeries. And we went to this rural hospital, and I took my daughters on this trip with me, my wife and my daughters. And we went to this hospital, and it was sobering to find out what medical care is like outside the United States, and to see people lined up for days sitting in chairs to see a doctor, and to see a woman in childbirth that the conditions were horrible. But we donated this piece of equipment to help with eye surgeries. And after that, we had the opportunity to go to this home for girls. And it was for girls that had been abused mentally, physically, sexually, every way you could think of, just horrible situation with these girls. And there was wire fences around this compound. And it wasn't to keep the girls in, it was to keep people out that wanted to get to these young ladies. And we were there to build a peace garden, a piece of sanctity and solitude, and where they could reflect and have a quiet moment. And so a lot of the Rotarians were there working, we're shoveling, painting, cleaning up. But my 2 daughters at the time, they were, I think, 15 and 13. They went off and played with some of these girls. And to see immediately that despite worlds of difference, and experience, life experience, to see these girls braiding my daughter's hair, talking about movies and music and playing, games and stuff like that. And just to see that the world, the world is bigger than ourselves, and to see the love immediately, it was amazing. And we have this photo of one of my daughters. She's walking, and we couldn't show the young lady's faces for obvious reasons, but you just see Emily with her arms around these two girls, just became friends. And to provide that kind of experience for my daughters to understand we're not blessed so we can have, but we're blessed so we can give, and to teach that to them at a young age. And my daughters now have that appreciation for service above self, not just through me or through what they saw through my dad, but through that firsthand experience. And that's what Rotary provides. It provides our kids the opportunity for service in the future. And I remember at the international convention we went to, never thought I would hear something so profound from Ashton Kutcher, but he's up there on the stage and he said, we don't need to build a better future for our kids. We need to build better kids for our future. And I think that's what Rotary does also, is that it allows us to bring our kids in to be a part of this organization, and then to develop young leaders for the future. So with that, just want to remind you all, please think about that Rotary story, that moment that you became a Rotarian, and be ready to share that with others so we can grow our organization, so we can do more. With that, thank you for the time, President Greg. It's a treat to be here. I know you're gonna have a great year as president. It was an honor to be here and speak with your club, and look forward to seeing so many great friends again in the future. Thank you. Some questions? Yeah, if there's any questions. Oh, we have one right over here, Jason.
Actually, this is more of a comment related to your role as district governor. When we went to Atlanta, I seem to recall we were in the room. Jason, you were there. We were in the room, us, Marcia, a bunch of us were there from our club, as well as all over the district. And we're in the room waiting for Marshall. And we see this video start up. And it shows Marshall waking up late, throwing his clothes on, running down the stairs, and then running into the room at the last moment. And I thought that was just so cool. That's the kind of guy you are.
Well, thank you. We wanted to start the event off with a bang and have a lot of energy in the room. And I was just looking back at that. We never practiced it. And I ran through an entire auditorium full of people in chairs like this, and I didn't kill myself. And to that, I must have been touched by an angel that morning, because I should have died. I mean, I remember running past Mary Kate and she's looking at me like, this guy's insane.
Yeah, very, very well done. I was wondering, how do I get a pair of them pants?
That's right. We ran out of the pants. We're actually making shorts and skirts right now, though. So I think shorts are easier to pull off.
I think I'll take a pair of shorts. I'm not ready for a skirt yet.
Yeah, no skirts.
Right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Thank you. I have some business cards. I'll give you one. We'll get you hooked up. Yeah.
Matthew, anybody online?
We got one right here.
For the projects that you supervise in the Caribbean area, are those ones where the youth that would be participating in RILA and RI and such, are they welcome to participate in those types of projects and trips?
Always want to get the young people involved. I think each project is different. So certainly, I know we have a youth team here in 6970 that coordinates the Interact and the RILA and the RI and all that kind of stuff. So I can't speak personally to that, but absolutely, I know they're always looking to get young people involved for those leadership opportunities.
All right.
All right. Greg, thanks again. Appreciate it. Oh.
Marshall, I want to thank you so much. You are a role model for Rotary and what people can get out of Rotary and what people can give to Rotary. So I think that there's a phrase about the more you give, the more you get. And that's definitely true in the way we can serve through Rotary. Actually, real quickly, I joined Rotary because Joe Coughlin kept asking me to come to Rotary on Tuesday with him. And he knew I was interested in the community. And this was an opportunity for me to get involved in the community. And so I want to thank Joe Coughlin. I want to thank people like Marshall Butler, who have been great ambassadors for the organization. And I also want to thank you because you took your time to come down. Oh, I forgot something at the table.
Oh,
First off, because you took your time to drive down from Jacksonville today to speak to our club, I have a little card for you that my friend Bill Stasowitz helped me get together. He actually produced it. And it's to thank you for giving your time and talent to us at the Rotary Club today. And
Thank
for
you.
that, I want to thank you.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So one more thing. And lastly, I want to present you with a certificate. And this is, I was struggling with what I was going to do for our speakers this year. And it was like this light bulb went off. And I spoke with Jenna and she helped facilitate this. It's a, they have a Cade Museum Scholarship Fund. And this fund is donated in your name to honor you for providing service to our club and also to speak. And their mission is to give opportunities for at-risk kids, scholarships to attend. So you have been given the honor of donating funds.
Oh, well, thank you
We
so
will
much.
do that in your name.
Thank you. That is so awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Let's see where we are.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Well, I guess what I want to do is make sure to thank everyone for attending today, either on Zoom or live. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And in the meantime, I have a favor to ask of all our members, is that in order to do more, we need to grow more. And as an organization, continually revitalizing ourselves is the way we can thrive and be inspirational in our community and do good work. So I'm asking you to think of someone as you're leaving the meeting today, someone that you might want to bring to the meeting next week as a potential member, or just to have them come get some exposure to what we're doing so there's more awareness in the community. So if you will please do that, I would be greatly appreciative. And let's see, I think I'm down to the thing I was told not to forget, the raffle. So maybe I should ask somebody else to pull this, but I am doing this Dana White thing here. All right, so the last 3 digits for today's raffle is 184. And with that being done, who got it? Who got it? Okay, Tom, all right. With that, this meeting's adjourned.